So here we are, less than 24 hours to go until Britain decides. And guess who's back? The 11th hour appearance by Boris Johnson got the Tories going, but was it too little, too late? So Keir Starmer, Nigel Farage and Rishi Sunak all make their last-ditch pleas to Sun readers in today's paper, but very soon, it's over to you. To mark the very last episode of Election Countdown, 36 days later, what a show we have for you today. There's even going to be some singing. And we'll be back tomorrow with 2 live shows, 10:15 on Thursday and 8 a.m. Friday morning, to pick apart all of the results. I'm Harry Cole. This is Never Mind the Ballots Election Countdown. Don't forget, subscribe, youtube.com/@SunElection. Joining me in the studio is the Sun's Home Affairs correspondent, Julia Atherley, and for the first time in the Never Mind the Ballots studio, Thomas Godfrey, news reporter. Guys, you've been sort of honorary members of the Sun politics team for the last 6 weeks. Have you had fun?
Yeah, it's been great.
Favourite moment? Obviously being on Never Mind the Ballots.
Well, I mean, we were in Clacton for the milkshake gate and Nigel Farage.
Yes.
That was probably the most dramatic moment of the election campaign.
I was trapped in the back of a pub during milkshake gate and Nigel Farage. I missed it happening in the flesh.
The odds of catching a story about reform in the back of a pub is normally quite high. So Boris Johnson turned up last night. A little too late? No, couldn't he have done that 6 weeks ago?
It was very much literally an 11th hour appearance, right? I mean, where's he been? He's been doing these kind of video endorsements from afar, but this is the first time I've actually seen him in person.
It does probably tell you quite how bad things are for the Tories in their internal polling if they manage to get Rishi Sunak and Boris Johnson in the same room together. But I hear it was pretty frosty backstage. But Tom, do you think Boris, has he still got that va-va-voom?
I think he does, and all he had to do is look at the energy in the room when Boris Johnson was speaking. There were chants of Boris as he entered. He immediately laid into Keir Starmer and said 9:40 was
Didn't
past
say
his
much
bedtime.
nice about Rishi Sunak, though, did he?
He didn't, and also, as you pointed out, I think after Boris Johnson left while Rishi Sunak was still speaking.
The motorcade was speeding off. Now, one person who knows Boris Johnson very well, former Culture Secretary, author of The Plot, The Political Assassination of Boris Johnson, is Nadine Dorries. Nadine, welcome to Never Mind the Ballots.
Good morning, Harry.
How are you?
Thank you. I'm very well, thank you.
Now, your book, The Plot, The Assassination of Boris Johnson, out in paperback on Thursday, the 4th of July. What spectacular timing. You predicted a few things were going to come to pass, not least that Rishi Sunak was going to drive the Tory machine off a cliff, right?
Well, actually, Harry, just to correct you there, I think every prediction in The Plot has come to pass.
Of course. Now, were you pleased to see the blonde one back on the campaign's trail? Were you expecting that?
Well, yes, I knew it was happening. But I think what he did last night was, it's a shame he wasn't allowed into the campaign earlier. And yeah, I was disappointed that, it couldn't have happened sooner. But what I would say is I think what last night did was showed everybody how Boris can both ignite a room and rally a room, but also the country too. And I think what it did was it showed us that actually, who is the future of the Conservative Party? Who is it we need to take the Conservative Party forward and to show people that we have a message and we have a winning team at the front? And I think the message very clearly last night came through that was Boris Johnson.
Does he want to come back? Isn't he having too much fun on the other side?
Well, he's having a lot of fun and he's earning a lot of money. But, I know he's also been quite frustrated at the way the campaign's been going, the way it's been run. There are people saying, what a shame he didn't get involved before. This was Rishi Sunak's campaign run by Rishi Sunak's team. Boris Johnson hasn't been allowed in to the campaign. And I think it was probably, maybe Rishi picked up the phone, at that last desperate moment.
You know these sort of things. You know all about these sort of things. What happened? Was it a begging phone call? Was it did they go for a pint and settle their differences?
Harry, there's absolutely no point in you asking me that question because I'm not going to tell you.
I'll have to wait for your paperback, presumably.
What a shame that Rishi Sunak didn't pick up that dotty hammer and smash that glass a little while ago.
Do you think it'll make any difference this late in the day, or was it sort of, about stemming the losses really, rather than trying to turn the result around?
Look, I think, do you remember the Sheffield rally in '92, the last 48 hours when Neil Kinnock absolutely threw away a Labour government? I think you keep fighting right until the very last moment. And I think it will make a difference. I think Boris Johnson last night showed everybody how much Nigel Farage looks like a second-hand car salesman and what the difference is. I think at the very least he did that. I think it's really important to remind people that we don't want a Labour supermajority, that would be an absolute disaster. We will all live to regret that for the next 5 years. And I think what Boris did last night was send out a very important message. Don't let that happen.
Do you want Rishi Sunak to win, though? I mean, you've had your run-ins with him in the past. Do you actually want him to win on Thursday?
No, absolutely, I do. I am Conservative and country and Conservative first. It doesn't matter who's leading the party. I want the Conservative Party to win. And I almost more than wanting the Conservative Party to win, I am fearful of a Labour supermajority. I think that would be, I'm someone who lived through the 70s. I lived through the 3-day week. I did my homework and my studying by candlelight. It isn't that long ago. I remember being a nurse on the wards. The NHS is probably not in its best position at the moment, but I remember fighting to have sheets on my ward. I remember exactly what it's like. I remember the bodies not being buried, the bin bags piling up, the mass strikes. I remember having to queue outside supermarkets to buy tea.
Do you really think that Keir Starmer's going to herald an age of rolling power cuts and rubbish rotting on the streets? Really?
Well, no, but I'll tell you what I do think. I think that many of the things Keir Starmer is promising that Labour are going to do will take him into direct conflict with the unions, who are still the party's paymasters. And so maybe we won't see lorry drivers on strike. Maybe we won't see mass walkouts in the NHS. But what we will see is that a rerun of that conflict between Labour and the unions. And when the unions want to, when they know Labour have got a supermajority, when they want to pull their weight, they will do. And so maybe it won't get back to, the days when Dennis Healey was told to put his gin and tonic down in the first-class lounge in Heathrow and get back to Westminster to save the country. Maybe we won't quite get to that point, but we will get to a point where there will be disharmony and disunity and strikes on a massive scale, arguments between the unions and Labour, and we will get back to the point where taxes will rise, they will overspend, as they always do on public services. They always manage the economy in an irresponsible manner, as Liam Byrne told us with his "there is no money left" note after the last time we had a long period of Labour government.
Indeed, despite your valiant efforts and the efforts of Boris Johnson and co last night, the polls do look like it's going to be a Labour victory. What happens next? How does the next few weeks play out? You know the party better than anyone, really. Your book lifts the lid on it quite spectacularly of the inner machinations of the Tory party. What comes next? Rishi Sunak, is he going to stick around and do PMQs on the 17th of July against PM Starmer?
So that's really cool. There are a number of scenarios which are affected by I don't think. Remember, William Hague stood down by 9:30 the following morning when he didn't quite make it. And I think any self-respecting Prime Minister has to do that.
Right. So you will see...
he has announced his resignation. I think Sunak will have done that, but he will have two choices. There will either be somebody who will be nominated by Rishi Sunak to hold the reins and the pen while there is a leadership competition, or he will stay on while that happens. And, I said the day David Cameron was popped into the Lords that he's been popped in for a reason. So who knows what will happen? I know the Tory grandees are arguing very fiercely amongst themselves for it to be David Cameron. I've got a feeling you might see Oliver Dowden put into that place while the competition...
If he holds his seat, though, it's looking a bit tight down there, apparently.
You may see someone like Patrick McLaughlin, the Lords, put in as chairman part of the party to oversee it. But what you will see is those men trying to ram through rules very quickly that stop the members of the Conservative Party having a vote on who the next leader will be. And that will be the next battleground. That will absolutely blow up. Because it was the MPs who caused this chaos, not the party members.
And the party members chose Liz Truss. I mean, they've got to take a bit of...
Whoa, Harry, they were given two choices. They were given Liz Truss or Rishi Sunak. So, you cannot blame the party members. The blame lies fairly and squarely with the MPs.
Now, I think I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Where do you think the Tories would be in the polls right now with 5 years of Boris Johnson, post-Partygate, post-COVID, still in position? If they hadn't knifed him, where would the Tories be? Do you think he could have beaten Starmer?
Yeah, easily. And I think we would be looking at not the massive majority of 80, because we've been 14 years in power, and it's very hard for a government that's been in place for 14 years to come back with a massive majority. But we would have been returning with Boris Johnson against Keir Starmer with a majority of somewhere around 40 MPs, easily.
So the Tory party only has itself to blame, in your view, then, if they go down in flames on Thursday?
I'm afraid it's not the Tory party. Because in that you include those people who voted for Boris Johnson and voted Conservative in 2019, and you include party members. Tory MPs, this is those Tory MPs who wanted Boris Johnson removed, who campaigned and worked for people like Kemi Badenoch, who worked very hard to get Boris Johnson removed from the party. They are the people who carry the can for this, and they are to blame.
Well, in all likelihood, Kemi Badenoch could be leader. She could be leader by the end of the summer. Would you don't think she'd be any good?
If Kemi Badenoch becomes leader of the Conservative Party, that will mean a continuation of chaos within the Conservative Party. It will mean the continuation of those people I talk about in my book, like Dougie Smith and others, and it will be an absolute disaster. The Tory party needs a clear out of those individuals who've assisted to create the chaotic position we are in now. It cannot be Kemi Badenoch if we want a fresh start and we want a grown-up Conservative Party.
Who would you like it to be apart from Boris Johnson? Because I think he's busy, right?
Don't even ask me. Don't even ask me. I want to see who survived.
Nadine Dorries, thank you for coming on Never Mind the Ballots. Don't forget, you get the plot, the paperback edition, July the 4th. In fact, July the 4th, what's that, tomorrow? It's out tomorrow.
Tomorrow, election day, yeah.
I've read it. It's lively. I recommend you do too. Nadine, thanks for coming. See you soon.
Bye.
Well, that was lively, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Kemi Badenoch would be the continuation of chaos. I don't think that's going to be her official slogan for the Tory leadership, is it, Julia?
I don't think so. I don't think that's quite the vibe that she's been going with. She'll clearly be hoping, if she was going to stand, that, she's kind of the fresh face.
I mean, Tom, the battle for the soul of the Conservative Party has clearly already begun, and only maybe 1 million votes have been cast, postal votes have been cast, but the election's not even over, and they're already burying each other.
They are lining up to take over the mantle from Rishi Sunak, and two of the names that Nadine Dorries mentioned there, obviously Kemi Badenoch, who's expected to put herself into the fray, but also David Cameron, who's sat in the Lords and under the rules of the Tory party can't even become leader unless they run through changes.
The point she was making is that in the smoking ruin of the Conservative Party, presumably on Friday and this weekend and next week, they can rattle through rule changes very quickly. Julia, David Cameron coming back, can you see it? Would you like it?
I mean, I think he's proved pretty popular as a foreign secretary, I think.
There was a weird moment last night at that rally where you had literally sort of Rishi Sunak sort of stopped almost to thank David Cameron for coming back for his service. He obviously had to, through gritted teeth, thank Boris Johnson. But is it bad to have to be surrounded by the guys who did your job and always being compared to the other guy, right?
It's a little bit like the ghosts of Christmas past.
Exactly,
They're still here, they're still hanging around.
Anyway, right. Thanks for coming, guys. Predictions, Nigel Farage is going to take Clacton?
Probably, yeah.
Tom,
yes,
been down
but
there?
not with a 30-point margin.
Not with a 30-point margin. Labour supermajority?
Yeah.
Labour 460 seats.
460 seats? Are you literally putting a number on it? All right, you're coming back on Friday morning and we're gonna mark your homework. Guys, don't go anywhere. We're gonna sing. We're gonna have some music. Next, a musical feast. Don't go away. Well, you lucky things, as it's the last episode of our morning election countdowns. We are joined now by comedian and writer Dominic Frisby, a man who has been chronicling the election and the last few years with his ukulele and his piano. Welcome, Dominic.
Thank you very much. Just the ukulele.
Just the ukulele.
Somebody else plays the piano.
You've been described by, myself actually, as Elon Musk's favourite comedian. A singing comedian.
Maybe.
Please check.
He retweeted one of my songs.
And it went massive.
It got 50 million views.
50 million views. Yeah. We're not going to sing that one. It's a little bit early in the morning for that one, I fear.
I think
but
so.
Let's have a little listen to one of Dominic's songs about Captain Flip Flop.
the Prime Minister? What's he stand for? What does he believe in? I should have said Prime Minister. Blanda has blue tack. What's the point of Rishi Sunak? Teeny weeny incy Rishi.
Is there a big market for, you know, right-wing libertarian comedians with a ukulele?
Yeah, and there's not a huge
Growing.
market.
It's growing,
It's
though.
growing.
I've seen you play what's a private party. I think we could describe it as, and you had the meeting at the palm of your hand.
Well, I did Nigel Farage's 60th birthday, if that's wasn't that private a party. There was quite a few people there. But yeah, I do private parties and I do my own shows, and they sell a few seats, but it's not like it's not 50 million views, you know, like Elon Musk.
Well, let's have a look. We're trying to get Captain Flip Flop, I think, with one with County now to up the charts before polling day. Let's have a look at Captain Flip Flop.
He's going to abolish tuition fees. No, he isn't because of the economy. He will always wear the poppy. No, he shouldn't wear the poppy. Will you just ignore these U-turns if you please? He just wants to get elected without saying what's affected. He has so many people to appease. He's Captain Flip-Flop, flippity, floppity, flippity, floppity, flip-flop, flip. He's Captain Flip-Flop, flippity, floppity, flippity, floppity, flip-flop, flip.
I have to say, we did actually play that in the office last night.
Oh, did you?
And, you know, there was a spontaneous sort of burst of Captain Flip-Flop, flippity, floppity, flip. That is an earworm, if there ever is one.
Well, it's Gilbert Sullivan.
Yes,
An old Gilbert
no,
Sullivan song.
exactly. Is
But
that where you mainly draw your inspiration from? Who else is the...
I love Gilbert
Flanders
Sullivan.
and Swan and a bit of...
I love Flanders
yeah.
and Swan, Gilbert Sullivan, Noel Coward, all the great lyricists. I love them.
Fantastic.
That song's quite funny. It had 500,000 views on Twitter.
Yeah,
and then
at Dominic Frisbee.
at Dominic Frisbee.
At Dominic Frisbee, yeah.
And on TikTok, it got 27.
Really?
And it was flagged for electoral interference.
Really? Wow. Is there some sort of... Are you a Russian bot? Is that
I think so.
Is that,
Must
is
be.
that the...
There's the Russian bots are now rewording old Gilbert and Sullivan classics.
And a little birdie tells me that you wrote a song for Nigel Farage.
I did. Nigel, I talked to Nigel. We text each other every now and then.
Yeah.
And I said, do you want me to write a campaign anthem for you? And he went, do I ever? And so we wrote this, and I think it's a brilliant song. I'm really proud of it. But for some reason, he wanted to use Eminem instead.
Well, we don't have Eminem, but we do have Dominic Frisbee. Let's see the reform anthem written for old Nige.
Nigel Farage has announced he'll be contesting the seat of Clacton-on-Sea. What? What up? He's back with his grin. What up? They thought they'd got rid of him. What up? He's gonna make such a din. What up? With a ciggy and a pint of. What up? This is what we need to see. What up? Some accountability. What up? What a pain he's gonna be. Lol, lol, lol.
Fantastic. Are they singing that on the street? Both of these guys have been down in Clacton. Have you heard them singing Wallop on the streets of Clacton yet? And if not, why not?
I think it needs to catch on there. I think if he wins tomorrow night, that should be played in Clacton Town Hall.
Get
yourself down there.
Get the bus out. Get the speakers going on it. Dominic, thank you for coming. Where can we find all your gear? So Twitter at Dominic Frisbee.
At Dominic Frisbee on Twitter, and if you want to sign up for my elite comedy mailing list,
Elite comedy mailing list.
It's Frisbee's News or DominicFrisbee.com.
And you got any shows coming up we can come to?
Yeah, I've got tonight I'm in Thames Ditton, tomorrow night Manchester, Friday night Leeds, Saturday night Tring.
Look at that, never stops. But before you go, you are going to sing us out. But
Can do.
Thank you for joining us, Julia, Tom. Good luck tomorrow night. We're going to be, I don't know where we're all going to be, but we're going to be everywhere. No stone unturned in the election results. But, guys, thanks for coming. Before Dominic sings, I have to remind you we have 2 live shows coming up. 20 to 15 on Thursday, 8 a.m. Friday. Don't miss a thing. This has been Election Countdown. It's been 37 days of utter joy with some brilliant people behind the scenes you'll never see on camera, but have made this show absolutely sing, and a total amateur like me look like a professional. But remember, subscribe to us, youtube.com/SunElection. You won't miss a thing. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow on the other side.
They said he'd restore order after Liz had lowered tax. Competent and capable, these were the patent facts. Just watch how he for sure would go and turn it all around. The Tory party's fortunes, the country would rebound. Such a great guy, a safe pair of hands, just you wait and see. Alternatively, maybe Sunak hasn't got a clue. He hasn't got the faintest what to do. House prices, inflation, boats, immigration, you'll get more use out of blue tack. This centrist trot might just be a bot. What's the point of Rishi Sunak? Maybe Sunak hasn't got a clue.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Hey.